Hello everyone, I hope that you're keeping well. Um, the subject of this video is non-compliance. Now, I'd never heard of this term other than in a kind of commercial aspect, normally around contracts. And I first heard it when I was seeing a physiotherapist as part of my initial rehabilitation. And this was taking place at the OCE, the Oxford Centre for Enablement. And I was having physiotherapy sessions and occupational therapy sessions roughly once a week. I couldn't always make them because I wasn't always well enough, but roughly once a week. And I turned up for my fourth or fifth physiotherapy appointment, and Debbie, the physiotherapist, who coincidentally was the same physiotherapist that I saw when I was in hospital, looked at me a little bit quizzically and said, "Oh, you're back." Like, yeah, were you not expecting me to be here then? Well, not really, she said, but it's just that we get a lot of people who, start off really well and very diligent in attending their physiotherapy sessions, and then after, 3, 4, 5 sessions, we don't see them anymore. So I said to her, I don't understand. She said, well, as you know, it's bloody hard work. And I think a lot of people think, I can't be doing with this. It's too hard. And they give up. So I said to her, well, don't they want to get better? Don't they want to improve? Don't they want to try and get some kind of quality of life back as best they're able? She said, yeah, I'm sure they do, she said, but they're just not prepared to put the work in to get that. And I found that and still find that very hard to understand, because at the end of the day, from my point of view, this is about my life. I might be 62 years old, but I've still got a few years to go, I hope. And surely it's worth investing time and effort in order to make the best improvements that you can in order to live the most fulfilling life that you can. And I understand within those parameters for brain injury survivors, there are limitations. We all have limitations. We can't fly to the moon. We have certain limitations. But unless we're prepared to push and push and push those boundaries, we're not going to know how far we could go, what we could become, what we could do with our post-brain injury, post-brain attack, post-stroke, whatever, lives. So anyway, Debbie and I talked about this for a little bit. I think I had I think in total I had maybe sort of 10 or 15 physiotherapy sessions before it was kind of like, right, you're good enough to kind of walk about your house on your own. We need to move on and find, the next person who's at the head of the queue and deal with them. So it's very much, I think, get you to be kind of functioning, and then it's up to you thereafter. So I'd found treadmill work for me very, very useful, very, very important. And the idea of not now having a treadmill to be on to continue to make improvements was quite depressing. So we couldn't afford it, but we splashed out on a fairly heavy duty treadmill, stuck it in our conservatory, and that became my kind of spiritual home for quite some time, putting the work in, putting the hours in on the treadmill, gradually building up my ability to walk around a bit, because I did not want to be stuck at home. I wanted to be out and about doing stuff, even if it's just going out for a cup of coffee, going out for lunch, being able to walk from the car, across the car park and into the coffee shop. That's good enough for me. I'm not looking to, enter the marathon or anything like that. So it's a question of, well, that's what I want to achieve. What do I need to do that? And the answer will be, however small it is that you want to achieve, the answer will be a lot of work, consistently putting in the work over a period of time to get there. Please do not be non-compliant and just give up. So that was the first time I heard the word non-compliance, or the phrase non-compliance. The next time was probably 6 or 7 months later, when I started seeing a clinical psychologist, also at the Oxford Centre for Enablement. There'd been a delay due to capacity, lack of staff and all the rest of it. So I started seeing the occupational therapist and the physiotherapist first. And then there was about a 6-month waiting list until I started seeing the clinical psychologist, which will be the subject of another video because that was fascinating. Anyway, again, I'm back seeing Peter, the clinical psychologist, for third, fourth, fifth time, whatever. And he said, "Oh, glad to see you back, and that you're not giving up and dropping out." I said, "Non-compliance." I had this conversation down the corridor with Debbie a few months ago. Yeah, he said, it's a bit of a nightmare. It's a bit of a nightmare. We start the process off with people. He said, but I reckon probably 75% of people that I see give up after 3 or 4 sessions. So I had similar conversations with Peter to the one I had with Debbie. Don't people want to get better? Yeah, well, of course they do, Andy, but it's a long process. It's not straightforward. Particularly the work that I do, we go poking around in people's minds and bring stuff out that maybe they're finding a bit uncomfortable and a bit difficult to deal with. You've got to go into this process with an open mind, and they don't like it, and it's hard work, and they give up. And that was quite depressing. Is too strong a word, because we're talking about people that I don't know. But I think it's sad, and quite frankly a bit of a tragedy, that there are facilities laid on in the UK through the National Health Service to support brain injury survivors. Now, we might argue about the efficacy of those and whether they last long enough, and waiting lists, and I personally struggle with the idea that each appointment was 45 minutes or an hour, because I could only probably do about 15 minutes. So I ended up being exhausted after about 15-20 minutes, and the sessions never really lasted 45, but the physical sessions never really lasted 45 minutes because I wasn't able to do it. But that's the slot that's given. Therefore, you have an appointment, it's 45 minutes, mate, whether you're capable of doing 45 minutes or not. I would have been much happier with a 15-minute appointment, and not one 45-minute appointment once a week, but a 15-minute appointment, excuse me, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. That would have suited me, and that would have been better for my capabilities, but wasn't to be. So we can argue about the semantics about the service that is provided and the level of service that's provided. Be that as it may, in the UK we have universal healthcare. The NHS is there, it's providing stuff, and people aren't following through with it. So they're giving up on the physiotherapy, they're giving up on the psychology counselling, the clinical psychologist. And I didn't have the conversation with the occupational therapist, but I suspect it's very much the same there. And that to me is an absolute tragedy, because why? I don't understand the psychology of what's going through somebody's head, which is, I've had this terrible thing happen to me, this stroke, brain injury, whatever. Can't I just take a pill and I'll be better? Oh, well, I've actually got to put some work in. I've actually got to make an effort. I've actually got to, oh, it's hard, isn't it? It hurts a bit, and and half tiring, I feel bloody crap after I've been there and done that. Yeah, that is how it is. I remember with Peter, the clinical psychologist, first couple of sessions, this was great. Bit of a chat, nice cup of coffee, chocolate biscuit, fantastic. I quite like this. Clinical psychology being analysed, and this is great. Third session, I left, got in the car. My wife said to me, "How did it go?" I thought, so she said, "I'll just take you home, shall I?" I reckon it was about an hour before I could actually string a sentence together. That hour session, the third one I had with Peter, just made my brain melt. And from then on, I had about 16 sessions altogether. From then on, pretty much every session ended the same way, with me being just brain dead, because it was hard work. It wasn't physical hard work, but it was mental hard work, and it absolutely wiped me out. I'd go away from those sessions with Peter and just collapse in a heap for a few days. They were very hard work. They were very tough. They also went into some things into my past, all around seeing my dad die when I was 16 and all this kind of stuff that was, messy, painful to revisit and go to. But it helped because it had never been visited and gone to at all. My dad died 16, under the carpet, never talked about since, till I had my stroke, till I saw Peter. So from the age of 16 to the age of 55, hadn't been talked about within the family at all. So yeah, these things are hard work, and please, if you get the opportunity to see professionals, whether they be physiotherapists, occupational therapists, clinical psychologists, whatever, take the opportunity and recognize that it's going to be hard, it's going to be tough, it's probably going to hurt, but you have to put the work in order to get something out. Louis Armstrong, the trumpet player, Satchmo, once said about playing the trumpet, what you put in is what you get out. And that's very much the same with rehabilitation, making improvements after stroke or after brain injury. What you put in, the effort that you put in, is what you get out, the reward that you get out of it. So the more effort you put in, which means the more it's going to hurt, the more difficulty it's going to be, the tougher it's going to be on you physically and mentally. But by putting all that work in, that's what you get out at the other end. Hopefully reaching a level of capability that enables you to live a reasonable quality of life. So, non-compliant, don't go there. Good, okay. If you want to follow me on social media, you can. If you go to the website, www.braintechmusic.com, you'll see links there, the little Facebook logo, the little Twitter logo, and they will take you to my Facebook and Twitter pages, and obviously follow me, and have a look at the website, read some of the blogs. I am doing podcasts as well, trying to get those on iTunes and Spotify. Maybe on the time you see this I have done that, but I can tell you there's definitely a podcast on the website. If you want to listen to it, you've got to download it. Not that that's terribly a big issue. It's an MP3, so you can stick it on whatever. But I will, at some stage, get to the point where you can stream them on Spotify or iTunes. Anyway, thanks for watching. Look after yourselves. Take care. Bye for now.